comment, subscribe. It'll make me happy.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Ain't No Bassmaster. So today I want to talk to you about a topic I've been debating whether or not to do a video on this or not, flip-flopping back and forth. And today I finally decided, what the hell, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So, here I am out at my boat, trying to beat the sunset, recording a video. So anyway, over the winter, one of the big upgrades that I wanted to make to my boat was I wanted to go all lithium. So last year, I upgraded my two trolling motor batteries up front to lithium batteries for my 24-volt trolling motor. And this winter, I toyed around with the idea, and I finally just went ahead and decided to make the purchase. I'm upgrading the battery in the back of my boat, which is my cranking and accessories battery, serves both purposes. I'm upgrading that one to a lithium this year. And, the decision for me was kind of a no-brainer, just because of all of the advantages that lithium batteries provide to anglers. The weight reduction, depending on the battery, could be anywhere from a third to half the weight of a lead acid battery. So, 3 of those batteries on your boat, and you're saving probably over 100 pounds in weight, as opposed to having the lead acid batteries. The duration and the maintenance-free aspect of the lithium batteries, most lithium batteries will probably last you around 10 years, and most of them come with warranties anywhere from 5 to 10 years. And the constant runtime of the battery as well. And if you didn't know, a lithium battery, as opposed to a lead acid battery, it runs at 100% output, like full potential output, all the way down to like 1 or 2%. At which point the BMS in the battery then just shuts everything down, to protect the battery. But it's one of those situations where if you're running the battery and it's got enough charge on it, it's going at its full potential all the time. Unlike, your lead acid batteries, once they get below like a 50% reserve charge on them, especially with a trolling motor, you start to notice a decrease in performance. Your trolling motor doesn't go as quick on full setting. And this has happened to me with electronics. Sometimes you'll start to have a problem with one of your depth finders or something if the charge is getting too low. And heaven forbid it gets to the point where it won't turn over your outboard, then you're really out of luck. So with all of that in mind, I just decided to go ahead and make the investment in a dual-purpose cranking and deep cycle battery. Now, these types of batteries, lithium batteries, are fairly new to the market. They've probably been out there a couple years, and there aren't a whole lot of different manufacturers out there to choose from at this point, at least from what I was able to find. That's a little bit of a disadvantage, that there's not a whole lot to choose from. Also, when it comes to the dual-purpose batteries, the motor manufacturers like Yamaha and Mercury, they're not really helpful on having information out there about, I guess, what motors will support a dual-purpose battery. I don't think Yamaha has anything out. I might be wrong about that, but I do know that Mercury, they finally put out a bulletin in 2021, I think, and this was after they bought a lithium battery manufacturer, Relion, they finally put out a bulletin, and they listed 4 specific models of outboard, and most of these were, like higher end, bigger engines, like in your 200 to 250 class, I guess, that they said would, they approved them to work with lithium batteries. So, especially if you have a larger motor, you need to do your research a little bit first, just to make sure that, and maybe even talk to somebody at a marine or something like that, just to make sure that, uh, you're not going to run into any problems. Now, for me, I have a 20 horsepower outboard. So I feel pretty confident that whatever issues there might be with the lithium dual purpose cranking, deep cycle batteries, I'm not going to experience that with my engine. Um, my engine takes a relatively lower amperage draw to turn it over than 150, 200 horsepower engine. Um, the battery that came with this boat, I think it was only 400, 500 cold cranking amps. So I'm not too worried about it. Anyway, this is the battery, if I can get it up here, that I bought. I'll hold it up to the camera here. This is an Astro lithium dual purpose Life PO4 cranking and deep cycle battery, and I got the 100 amp hour version of it. They also make it in a 54 amp hour version. So I'm going to be installing this guy pretty soon, try to get this boat completed. But when you're purchasing a battery, a dual purpose battery like this, I guess in addition to whether or not your engine manufacturer supports these types of batteries or whatever, the other thing you're going to want to take into consideration is having enough amp hours in the deep cycle part of it to run the accessories on your boat, that you run continuously for a full day of fishing or a full weekend of fishing, or whatever the case may be. So, for me, like I said, it was a decision whether or not to get the 54 amp hour version or the 100 amp hour version. One other thing I did want to say before I get to that, this battery has built-in Bluetooth, and the 2 batteries that I bought last year for my trolling motor for the 24 volt system, they both have built-in Bluetooth as well. And like I said, because of the way these batteries run, they run 100% until they get to the point where the BMS has to shut them down, and then they're done. I really think it's important to have the built-in Bluetooth, so you can monitor the state of charge on the app on your phone, because especially if you go a while in between charging the batteries or something like that, you want to have confidence knowing what your state of charge is. You don't just want to be out there and all of a sudden the thing kicks off on you, because you put in 20, 30 hours on a charge, and it's reached its point. So that was one other thing I did want to mention. So, but anyway, getting back to choosing between a size of battery, the first thing you want to do is you want to take an inventory of the accessories on your boat that you run constantly. Now, I would ignore the ones that you use intermittently. So, I don't have a very expensive or fancy boat here with a lot of different accessories. Obviously I have navigation lights. I have a bilge pump. I have a live well pump, and I've actually converted my live well into more dry tackle storage, so I don't even use that. I have 2 depth finders. I have one here at the console, and then one here at the bow, and I think that's it. But the only accessories that I really use constantly, throughout the entire fishing trip, are my 2 depth finder units, my console and my bow mount one. So for me, to determine, what size battery was best, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to, like I said, take an inventory of all accessories that you use constantly. And then if you go on the internet, you can find out what the amperage draw is of the various accessories, whether it's your sonar unit or your bilge pump or your live well pump. And I'm putting up on the screen now a chart that I found that it lists some of the major sonar units out there, and it tells you what their amp hour draw is. I'm sorry, not their amp hour, just their amperage draw. And you can see from that chart, I've highlighted the Lowrance Hook 2 Reveal 7-inch model because that's I've got the same model sonar unit on the console and on the bow of my boat. So what you're going to do is, and there's two methods to do this. The first method, you can either calculate the amp hours, the amp hour rating battery that you would need for however long a duration you want the battery to last. And the second method is you can determine how many run hours you could get out of a specific amp hour size battery. So I'm going to run through both of these, and I'm going to give you two different scenarios for each one to show you how that can, depending on how the equation goes, how it can affect the amount of runtime or whatever that you're going to get out of a specific size battery. And I'll try to put I'll put a link to this battery first of all in the description, and I'll also put a link, if I can find them, links to any of the chart and anything like that I talk about. So just check the description of this video for some of the information that I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and let's go through the first one. So let's just say hypothetically I want to get 20 hours of run time out of this battery, out of this cranking battery and deep cycle battery. So based on the chart I put on the screen, my Lowrance Hook Reveal 7-inch outputs 1.25 amps. So what the equation is, I add up 1.25 for the console unit plus another 1.25 for the unit up on the bow here, and that's going to give me a total amperage draw of 2.5 amps. And you take that number, so that's the total number of amps that I'm constantly using on a typical fishing trip, and I'm going to multiply that by 20 hours. So if I wanted to get 20 hours of runtime using both of these sonars continuously during a fishing trip, I would need at least a 50 amp hour battery. Now, let's just change that equation a little bit. Let's say, somehow I miraculously learned how to consistently fish and do it well, and I thought, well, hey, shit, I should start fishing tournaments or something like that. In which case, I would need a live well, and I'd be running that continuously. I wasn't able to really determine the exact model of live well pump that I have in this boat, but I did figure out that the average output for a 800 gallon per hour live well pump is 3 amps. So now my equation is 1.25 console unit plus 1.25 bow mounted unit plus 3 for the live well pump, which, because now I'm a tournament fisherman, I actually know how to fish and can catch a lot of fish all the time. My total amp draw now for a typical fishing trip would be 5.5 total amps. So if you multiply that by 20 hours. Under that scenario, for a you know, a fishing trip, or a number of fishing trips that would get me 20 hours, if I wanted to get 20 hours out of the battery, I would need 110 amp hours. So the other method, the other way you can calculate this is, if you say, well, I'm going to get 100 amp hour battery just because, 54, I don't know, why not get the bigger size battery, which maybe that was what my thinking ended up being. If you say, I'm going to get 100 amp hour battery, I want to know what the run hours are going to be, in case I forget to charge it or don't have time to charge it, stuff like that, which, that's definitely me sometimes. So the equation then would be, under my real world scenario here, would be 1.25 console unit plus 1.25 for the bow mount unit, giving me, again, 2.5 total amp draw. Then I'm going to take 100 amp hours, which is the capacity of this battery, and divide that by my total amp draw, 2.5. So with this battery under the boat, the way I have it configured and the way I use it, I could theoretically get about 40 hours of runtime on this battery, if I didn't charge it in between every single outing or whatever. And then, we'll throw in the theoretical, I'm sorry, the hypothetical, where it's like I need to use the live well pump continuously because I'm catching fish and keeping them for a tournament. It would be 1.25 plus 1.25 plus 3 equals 5.5 total amp draw, and then 100 amp hours divided by 5.5. Now I only get 18.18. I guess we can round it down, about 18 hours of runtime out of this battery. So, that's a significant difference. That cuts it in half. If I needed to continuously run this live well when I went out fishing. So, I guess that's a good way to determine what size battery you might want. Whether you want to go 54, 60, 100. I think there's like a 115, 120 amp hour. I think I saw it there up to 200 amp hours. This is a good equation to use to try to figure that out. So, for me, I think ultimately I went with the 100 amp hour, even though I don't really have a whole lot I run on this boat, because, suppose I decide to upgrade my electronics, and then, the next thing you know, I've got like a bigger, more powerful unit with more features on it, front and back here. And, the next thing you know, I'm drawing like 2.5 amps from each unit instead of 1.25. So, it gives me some room to upgrade and still get a good amount of usage out of here, out of this battery. And then, of course, I guess the other thing is, you're probably not going to want to try to squeeze 40 hours or 20 hours or whatever out of one of these batteries, because you do have to have enough of a state of charge on there that it can pull the cold cranking amps you would need to turn your motor over. I forgot to say, with this battery is 1,000 cold cranking amps. So, like I said, it's got twice the cold cranking amps as my previous battery, which I think was like 500 maybe. So, yeah, I mean, that's it. I'm pretty excited to get this thing installed. If I get enough nice weather this weekend and the time to do it, then, I'm going to install this in the back, and I'm going to make another big or important upgrade, I think, to this boat, and that's to install a battery kill switch. So hopefully I'll have another video coming out fairly soon where I go over that project of adding a battery kill switch to your circuit. So anyway, I hope you guys found this useful. I'm sitting out here It's almost dark. I got my trampoline lights on. You know, I don't know if you can even see them or not, but I decided I wanted to do this video, and I thought it would be some helpful information for you, especially if, you know, if you're thinking about getting lithium batteries for your boat, or you know, you're really curious about the dual purpose cranking and deep cycle lithium batteries for your boat. So I just wanted to take the time and try to squeeze this in before the end of the day, before I'm sitting out here in the dark. So, you know, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video, hopefully pretty soon, installing a battery kill switch. Till then, take care.